So a bit of a background, I started working for President Mandela before the inauguration. I just went there on a contract basis, and when I was there, I sort of suffered for 3-4 months. You mean to understand I was the whitey and everyone else was the darkie, so there was a bit of an issue and everything else. You had the indoctrination and National Party and ANC and everything else, and I started getting on with everybody. And it was one day after the inauguration came along, I was in this place, and there's this big hall and everything else like that. It's one of those times where you just want your friends to see you, and there's teachers that picked on you, there's bullies, you want to say, look who I am. And I'm walking down the hall, and I've got the keys to the presidential guest house. Now, what would happen is, in the beginning, obviously there was no trust with the ANC, there was no trust with presidents, anything else like that, so people didn't know where to go and how to do it. So the president will come, and he'll just arrive and say, look, I'm staying here tonight. Or you'll say, okay, I'll be here for 3 days, and you prep everything, and the president's not there. So it was all, everyone feeling trust in how it goes. So on that particular day, I walked out, and I'm walking down the passage, I look outside, and in front of the big courtyard, there's no bodyguards, there's no cars and everything else like that. And I think to myself, great, so I'm walking around with the keys and that, and I walk past the big wooden doors, and I hear this voice, who's there? So I look up, divine intervention. I mean, where's this voice coming from? And it's this powerful voice. So I stood there and I just froze. And I thought, take my shoes off and run, because no one will know which way I'm running. Or just run and run fast. So eventually, curiosity got me, and I opened the door, and as I looked through, there sat the president all by himself on this big green wing-back chair. And he said, come in, boy. And I'm shaking and I'm nervous. And I mean, here sits President Mandela. I mean, this man is the world icon. And I walk up to him, and I'm looking at him. He says, are you scared? I'm like, I'm petrified. So he says, why? I said, well, why haven't you killed us? And I mean, just as I said it, you didn't mean to say it. But I always joke with people. It's like your wife comes home, she says, oh, I'm pregnant. You say, is it mine? You know it's yours, but you say stupid things. Eh? And he sat down. We sat next to him. And while we were sitting next to him, him and I spoke. And after a while, we really, really got on. And he turned around and he said, you know what? Can you remember that day you helped those people? Can you remember that and that? I said, yes, yes, yes. He says, well, that was my family. That was my friends. And he says, how would you like to work for me? I mean, stupid question. I mean, I'm like, I'd love to. So that's how I started working with President Mandela. I lived with him for 2.5 years. As I say, you can see in the book and everything else like that, we actually lived in the same house. We walked down the same passages. We've seen each other in PJs and everything else like that. I was very honored to be there and experience those kind of things. After about 2.5 years, eventually they found a house in Houghton. He refused to stay in the old Libertas, was Mshangugluvu. He refused to stay there. They found a house for him in Houghton. He said to me, you can come with me. He says, but I'm never here. I'm always at the union buildings. And you're close to me. He says, but I've got a bigger favor to ask. Sure. He says, I want to turn this into the guest house where all my guests can come. I was like, wow, that sounds amazing. And I stayed at the guest house. The first few guests that came, I was petrified. I mean, Jonathan Ball came up with Madiba's Appreciation Club because I was blessed. I did over 50 presents around the world. Most of the royalty. I've done Michael Jackson, Pavarotti, Naomi Campbell, all these kind of people. But now once you've worked for President Mandela, they second you. I'm not here to offend anybody, but they all came to see him, if that makes any sense to you. So while I'm talking, I'm going to start cooking now. What we'd do is if we had state banquets or we had presidents coming, so you'll get a call, and the president will say, look, I'm flying in now, and we've got Al Gore, who's landing. We're going to be there in an hour's time. There's only 200 of us. Can you put something together? You know what I'm saying? That was the first problem. The second problem that we had was you had those certain people when you do speeches. So their protocol would work to the second. So every second counts for them, except when someone says a speech. You know what I mean? So you'd be cooking, and they'll say, okay, 5 minutes to go. And you prep all your plates, and then somebody will get up. I would like to thank the president. And you're like, oh my gosh. So we started doing very good food in a quick way, if that makes sense to you. Now, if you had to take Sol, I'm doing a Sol Thermidor, something like this restaurant costs 210 Rand. But the worst part is when I make it for you, you'll never pay 210 Rand again. I mean, we do beef Wellingtons, takes us about 12 minutes and everything else. So we do food, good food quickly, if that makes sense. It's fresh. And a lot of times people would ask, what did the president eat? And it was simple, because what the president would eat, he would eat South African food. Now, a lot of times I get those questions from those ignorant people who say, what pap did he like? And I'm like, you're a moron. You know what I'm saying to you? Because people, you won't believe how stupid people can be. So, I mean, the president would eat food. So for argument's sake, if I was doing this dish for the president, I'd go to him and say to him, look, President, at this point in time, we've got fresh West Coast sole. And he says, okay, is it nice? I said, it's going to be very nice. He says, okay, thank you. And I'd normally go, and people would drop food off the whole time for the president, like boxes, and the farmers would send vegetables and herbs and that, which was incredible. And I would stop at the gate, and they'd say, here's the boxes and that. I'd go see what there is. I'll go to the bodyguards. Obviously, they need to check it out and everything. And I'll go and cook it for him. And I'll say to the president, he'll be sitting there most of the time by himself. I said, well, I've got these vegetables. This carrot came from Krugersdorp, and here's the farmer. He dropped this box off. And I tell him the stories of who dropped the food off and why they dropped it off and that. Obviously, he'll call Mary in, his PA, and he'll say, Mary, we need to write a letter. And he'd write a letter and say, your carrots were so nice, thank you very much. And he would make sure the letter gets to the person. So that's the food the president ate. Never rich food. When I say rich food, like spicy food, stews and things like that. He loved wholesome food, and how can I put it? He never asked for any food. His favorite dish was obviously lamb chops. But when he came in, let's say about June, July in 1994, we had all these doctors and professors and acupuncturists around the world coming, and came and they tried to teach me how to keep him alive longer, because apparently he had a first shit part of his life. So they wanted him to have a better part of his life. And I would then take what they taught me, and that's how I cooked for them. Does it make sense to you? And it was very enjoyable, because a lot of times they'll come and say, oh, you must make the president bok choy. I'm like, sorry, no. And then you go to the president and say, hi, would you like bok choy today? And he's like, no. you know what I'm saying? And obviously when we had foreign presidents come over, that one night they'll get the embassy chefs and they want the president to eat their traditional food. And then what we'd do is that I would stand there and watch the chef, and I'd make his plate look exactly the same. Because obviously, now imagine you have to go around and eat everyone else's food around this world. It's not in your taste and everything else. Okay, so there we go. So now, when it came to the life at the guest house. So the life at the guest house, yes, we were executive chefs. It was first Christian Michelle, and then it was myself. But we weren't just in the kitchen. We would run the guest house from the kitchen. We would then, how can I put it, we'd run the rooms, we had our chambermaids, we had our security, and we had everybody in place so that everybody had a role to play. And then in the kitchen, when we were cooking, they had private meetings. They would actually come and have the private meetings in the kitchen. Because while I was there from 94 until 2000, there was no newspaper articles, there was no leaked information and that. And they seemed to have trusted me with that. If I was just not so stupid, because at those days, I never knew I was going to write a book. I was just trying to do a job and make, my mom and dad proud, and I'm doing good. And I never knew that the amount of stuff that I saw and learned there, I wish I kept more and did things. And I wish I was wise enough to invest in companies that I heard them speaking about. Like platinum mines and everything else. That was quite amazing. But anyway, but yeah, there was long hours. We'd normally work 18 to 20 hours when you had a state visit. It was between 5 and 7 days. And because obviously when the president goes to sleep, everybody wakes up. There's different time zones, and obviously they need to communicate with the different countries and that. So that was very hard part. But we had a lot of funny times. I mean, we had a time where the Russians came. And, as Dutchmen, we think we can drink. You know what I mean? I've just come from Ireland and that, and they can drink. We can't drink, but they can drink. And the bodyguards, all the presidents going to state banquet, and the bodyguards are sitting there. Now, you've got the bodyguards on this side, and the South Africans on this side. Now, everyone's giving each other eye. Obviously, testosterone, everyone wants to measure up and everything else like that. So, okay. So if you can see, there's the sole. I just browned it just a little bit there. Going to put a little bit of garlic in here. So everyone's measuring up and trying to see who's better. So the one bodyguard, he says to me, Soti, fetch that mampur. So I said, what do you mean? He says, the one with the draat. I said, okay. Because they went to the mampur feast and they brought me this mampur, and I had a shot of it. And it's bad. It was disgusting. So fetched it in there, and he says to them, this is South African. Drink. So he gives him a double shot of mampur. And the bodyguard looks at him and he says, what's this? He says, it's mampur. He says, this. Puts a mug, fills up a mug of Mampur, and he drinks it. Now we're all standing there waiting. Jy gaan nou val, seun. It's coming, you're going to get a hiding. Nothing. He says, not bad. Has a second one. So one bodyguard says nothing. So he goes, it's peace. So now we're all tasting the Mampur. So there's the water daar, it's on your bliksem. I'm like, relax guys, there's no water in there. So he turns around, he says to the bodyguard, okay, now you drink mine. So he stands up, I'll never forget, a brown moustache and things like that. I don't mention names obviously for a reason. And he stands up and he takes this mug and he downs it. But as it goes down, he went down. Poof! Cold on. So the next thing, everybody wanted to taste it in that. Needless to say now, this bodyguard and that bodyguard became great friends because they measured and we knew we had the longer one. I mean, he won that argument. So obviously when they arrive, you go through the hall, and as you go through, the bodyguards stand there. So only the very important people were allowed in the guest house. So you were allowed 2 bodyguards, you were allowed 4 ministers. It was very, like, I don't know, too much politics involved about it. And so this one Russian minister arrives, and he goes to the front door, and he turns around and he says to the bodyguards, but now obviously in his broken Russian and that, and he says to the bodyguards, I'm looking for... So, does everyone understand Afrikaans? If not, I'll do it in Afrikaans English. So anyway, so the one bodyguard in Afrikaans turns on and he says, what you want, man? What you want? And this guy kept on coming, like every 10 minutes. So they call me, so I go down and he says, this man keeps... I said, are you looking for a shower, sauna? No. So now it becomes a joke. So the one bodyguard says, he says, listen, tell this folk to go bath in the river. Where they come from, there's nothing in their country. But now the jokes become, I mean, you know how sarcastic we can be. And it's like, tell him to cut his nose, man, or tell him to put breath mints in. And for 5 days, they rag this guy. But they rag him the whole time, man. And he keeps coming back for more. And eventually I went to them, I said, listen, guys, relax. They don't know. So the final day comes, and everyone's leaving. So we'd walk the president to the car, he'd thank us, photographs, gets into the car, and here comes this minister with this beautiful bottle of vodka. You know those ones with the dolls, And he walks up to the bodyguard that sort of ran the house in fluent Afrikaans. He said, thank you very much. I have not stayed so much. He says, I will bath in the river. We do have electricity, and I have cut my toenails, and here's your vodka. So next thing they go, so the protocol, John Reinders is there, and he walks up, but he's laughing. And he turns around to this bodyguard. He says, you must know one thing. He says, most of the people that come here, the ministers and the bodyguards and that, already taught our language before they get here. That particular minister spoke 7 languages. So you have those funny times, the same bodyguard, I don't know what's wrong with this guy. And I mean, he still comes to my restaurant. We're standing there, we're waiting for King Mswati, okay? And I mean, Mswati is a great guy. I don't care how many wives he's married. I mean, every man here thinks he's a legend and that. And we're waiting for him to go, because you must remember with the president, he was very punctual. And we know how rude he could be if somebody made him wait, because he feels he made the effort. And the planes are coming, and they turn around and they say, this is the plane. No, it's not that plane. This is the plane. So eventually, Minister Nzo, the old Minister Nzo, he turns around and he says, I wonder which plane it's going to be. Bodyguard goes on the radio, he says, look for the one with the roof rack. Oh, jeez. Needless to say that whole communications and everything just died right there where we were now. So we made a lot of mistakes in a sense that we were told, like, one day I woke up and there's a noise at the front door. And obviously you got your PT pant and you got your wife beater on, and you wake up and there's a noise at the front door. And I think, what's wrong? So I run around the house because it's quicker to then unlock everything. And as I run around the house, and I run towards him, here's the president standing with Fidel Castro, and they're looking at me, running at him with my sleeping shorts and things like that. And I said, did I forget something? And the president's like, no. He says, sorry, Fidel, this is our chef. This is Fidel Castro. He takes 2 cigars and he looks at me funny, gives them to me, he says to me, for you? I'm like, thank you. I said, President, do you mind if I run back where I came from? So, but they did have those kind of meetings because they didn't want the world to know. I mean, I was never political and things like that. So those things didn't have much to do with us. And on the funny side, a very, very, very funny side of President Mandela was he used to walk around at night. And I feel bad for him because he has this great man. Until 5 o'clock, he had thousands of people around him. There was just people everywhere around him. 5 o'clock comes and he's alone. And I said to him the one day, I said to him, President, do me a favor. If you're walking around, you're welcome to come to my flat. I'm three doors down. Please come and join us. But it's one of those invites where you meet your ex-girlfriend or your ex-boyfriend, you say, oh, we must have drinks. No, you're not going to have drinks. It was one of those kind of things. I mean, next thing, again now, knock on the door, open up, and here he stands. I'm like, hi, President, you're hungry? He says, you fed me an hour ago. No. I said, can I do anything for you? He said, you invited me to your house. I'm like, please, come in. Next thing, he walks past, and I'm fighting with my son, who's busy doing his homework, and obviously the wife's had a long day, and she's not very happy, and you know the usual stuff. And that my wife walks past, and here's the president sitting at the kitchen table. Obviously she convulsed, like, what are you doing? Yeah. I'm like, you still could come, you know? Because I mean, what do you say to the president? Hi, who do you fight today? I mean, what do I speak to you about? So he says to me, you keep cooking, I'll do the homework with your son. And it was about, I think the next evening, we're having a state banquet, and here comes my son running in, and he's running in, he's like, Daddy, Daddy, tata, tata, Daddy, Daddy, tata, tata. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get fired. The media's there and everything else like that. And he wanted to show the gold star. So the president stops everything, all the proceedings. He's like, just hold on. I could see my job out the window. I mean, here he bends down and he speaks to my son. And then he says to me, take him upstairs and go congratulate him. But President, I need to walk you down. He says, no, I'll stand right here. Obviously, I grabbed him by the head, ran upstairs and took him back. And it actually came about, we were talking one day with the president, and I said to him, how did you know my son? So apparently when we just moved in there, my son would climb out the window, run along the roof, climb in the president's window, and they would sit on the bed and speak all night. And that's how, so my son actually met him sort of officially before I met him. And the great thing is that we got to know each other in a personal level where we could joke. And I went one day, so he wanted me to go to Soweto with him. And I didn't want to go to Soweto because, I mean, I'm white and I'm scared. And you hear all these stories, and the bodyguards say, ooh, that's a bad place. I think they just revved me up a bit in that. And he says, no, you have to come, you have to come. And so I said, no, I've got things to do. He says, I'm telling you, you're coming to Soweto. So we get in the car, long drive there, no one's speaking and that. We stop at Soweto, and as we stop, the bodyguards get out, they check, give the signal, everyone gets out. And he looks at me, so I think, okay, I get out the car. And next thing, 2,000-3,000 people from Soweto start coming at him. Next thing, I'm trying to open the door. I'm panicking my ass off. And he taps you on the shoulder. He says, I don't mean to disappoint you, Chef. He says, but they're actually here for me, not for you. So that's what I'm saying. That's the guy he was. He was incredible. He was awesome. I went to a stage where couples fight. And my wife wouldn't listen. I was cross with her. And she got in a car. She went to her mother. And I was serving them that day, but we had a big 64-seater living room, or dining room, sorry, where the smaller sort of dinners and lunches took place. And he could see I was down. And I was upset because I knew I buggered up and I did the wrong thing. And I went and I fed everybody, and I was sitting on the stairs in the kitchen, and he would walk in and sit and say, what is wrong with you? I'm like, President, no, I'm fine. He's like, what's wrong? Then you have to tell him a story because he could see in your soul. He would pull out those dirty stories you didn't want to tell anybody. And he was like, okay, now, this is what you're going to do. Calls the bodyguard. Quickly take break there. Make sure he's back in 20 minutes for dessert and everything else. So he had a huge human factor about him. And the ministers and everybody that sort of interacted and worked with the president, they did things very different, where I'm using colonialism in the right way, in the sense that how we did things was, at 5 o'clock, if people were around or there was something going on, it became a family. Where it was about 5 months in, I was serving food and everyone just sitting there looking at me after I served the food. And I'm like, sorry, is everything all right? They said, aren't you joining us? I'm like, no, I can't. No, you're joining us. And everybody that worked in the government would sit together and have dinner together. Now, when I talk about colonialism in the past, where only a president would be here, a minister would be there, everything was so stiff in that. But the ANC actually had the most beautiful, beautiful family that I've ever seen. They were always inviting and warm. Look, I'm not lying, the first 4 months was hell. I'm not going to take it, but once you get invited into the family, you could walk down and find a minister sitting on a chair, and you could actually just sit down and have a conversation with the minister. It was absolutely spectacular. Another great story I'd like to tell. I don't know if Vim's here. I think she's gone now. She was working in protocol. I hope she's here. She'll remember the story. And we had the Pope came to visit. Now, obviously, the Pope couldn't stay with us, but in the morning you drive, and that night you would go out. And big, beautiful chair, and he was sort of speaking to people and having meetings. But the last day, he turned around and he said he's going to give everybody a present. Now, everyone's like, Next thing, his box comes, opens up with beautiful gold coins, imprinted with his name and everything on South Africa. So the people that wanted to go there, the queue just got longer and longer and longer, because now everyone sees the gold coins and want to be part of this. So John Rayner is obviously standing behind him, best protocol officer this country's ever seen, and he's standing there, and the people are coming. I'm on the other side, and we say, okay, here's John. John does this, and we're explaining what everyone does. And there was one of the girls, she's overseas now, and she's pacing up and down the passage, and while we're pacing and that, she's sort of practicing how she's going to courtesy the Pope. It's a big thing. You're meeting the Pope. Millions of people want to meet the Pope. And she had this beautiful red little suit on and that, and it was her time. And we say, sorry, could you come up? So you walk out, and there sits the Pope. And now you're walking towards the Pope, head held high. I mean, you could see the glee in everybody going to meet the Pope. And halfway through where the two red carpets joined, which she was in charge of, the tape had come a bit loose, and she fell. But obviously not like a lady. Head over heels, doof, poof, legs in there, and she sits up, and the Pope looks, he says, I've never been greeted like that in my life before. So no one knew if we should laugh or if we should cry, but everyone kept a straight face. And what I think was respect out of this girl, she stood up, she took a gift, and she walked away, and no one ever spoke about it again in their lives. So anyway, while I'm talking, I'm just saying this is ready. I'll play it just now, okay? My lady from John on the board, are you going to enjoy it just now, eh? You can tell me if it's good, eh? I'm trying to think. There's so many great... Okay, the only person I did hate, and I can use the word hate with the bottom passion of it, was Naomi Campbell. For no other reason, I was excited to meet her. I mean, everyone's got stories. So before I tell you Naomi Campbell, I'll tell you why I saw you. So, Prince Charles. Everyone reads about it in the media. He's this, he's arrogant, he's a poopball, and they say all these kind of things. So I wasn't ready. I was like, okay, I'm going to be treated like... And so obviously they had the high tea in the garden, which was fantastic, 40 degrees outside, everyone with the big hats and jackets and everything else. And the prince came up to me and said to me, I need to go to my room, but can you take me a back route so I miss the media and everything? I said, sure. And I'm walking. Again, you don't know what to say to these people. You can't say, how's the weather? He's going to say, listen, arsehole, it's hot. I can see that. So I'm walking with him, and he says to me, my mom sends her regards. I'm like, wow. I mean, the Queen, I'm like, wow. Geez, where's my recorder? Say it again. And I took him upstairs, and later that night, I got a knock on my door. Now, their aides are like James Bond in that. Very nice guys, but you can see the cycle kill you with a toothpick. Knocks on the door, he says, Prince Charles wants to see you. I'm like, can I just get dressed? He's like, no, he wants to see you now. I'm like, are you sure? He said, sure. So, because you must remember I lived there. I didn't wear a suit all the time. I was allowed to get naked in that. Anyway, so I left there, and I get to the room, and the Prince Charles, and they're all sitting. They move the couches around because he's got a big suite. And he says, do you drink whiskey? I'm like, I do. So now I'm expecting a present. He says, would you like to come and have a whiskey with us? I'm like, oh, my soul. Because a lot of times these presidents would want to, they sort of try and pull information out of you. What's the president like? What's this person? They got their own fishing. And we sat there and we had whiskey. And let me tell you something. Everyone's like, yeah, Diana was organized for him. And what a stud muffin. I mean, women always say, oh, we love you for who you are and your personality is not your looks. Don't know how true that is, but that man had personality. If I was gay, I'd be knocking on his door. He had charisma, and he was funny. And everybody that worked for him that day, there was like 5-6 people, enjoyed being there. Does that make sense? No one was scared, no one was intimidated, but everybody just thoroughly loved his conversation, and they were talking and joking. And I learned, so no matter what the media says, they can be wrong. There's an example. So I gave Naomi the same benefit of the doubt. So obviously now, the Americans drive the wrong way, and the person coming to the guest house, the dignitary has to be dropped off at the door. Because we don't know everybody personally. You can Google as far as you can, but you don't know. So they come the wrong way, and next thing, this beautiful African woman gets out. I'm like, Miss Campbell, welcome to South Africa. She's like, I'm the aide. she's on that side. I'm like, oh, jeez. So walk around. Now, obviously, she just heard the conversation, open up the door. I'm like, oh, Miss Campbell, welcome to South Africa. Because she looked like shit. I mean, she had this funny stocking on her head, and she was trying to be African, and I mean, it was like an overkill. You know, those people really too much African stuff in their day. And needless to say, she saw it happen. So for the next day and a half, I had her. Thank goodness Quincy Jones was there. He's a legend. He just sings all the time. Can I have some coffee? And like, yeah. So he was like very funny and everything else. And he was there, and he could see what was going on. So she would like throw food down and, tantrums. What a drama queen. So the next thing, Mandela comes. So I go to him, I said, President Mandela will be here today at 6 o'clock. So I explained to him the protocol because he had a gummy knee and that. We'd meet him at the door, go up the stairs. He gets to the point, fixes himself, and then he'll go and meet the guests. So he'd sort of imaginary draw a line, could you wait, yeah? Go down, and it was like an unofficial dinner. Does that make sense? He just wanted to sit and chat to them and speak to them. So we're going up the stairs and that, and there, as I get to, I say, hi, President Mandela, she falls on tata, my daddy, my tata, daddy. And she's going on in that. I'm thinking, okay, great. Anyway, so eventually she stands up after throwing this whole little tata, daddy thing and that. And he says, I'm sure my son's been looking after you. She's my whitey. She looks up and down the passage. I'm the only white oak there. I mean, this is not a hard one. Next thing, she hugs me and she falls, oh, my brother. I thought, brother, you, man. She said, so she really disappointed me in the sense of how she portrayed herself. You know what I mean? If I have to take, Tony Blair was there about a few months later and everything else like that. And also, everyone says he's got such a stiff upper lip. Legend, like you can't say. Like you'll get to the door and you'll say to his wife, 5 minutes we're leaving. Yes, dear. I thought, what a boss, man. I've never tried that crap with my wife. I'll tell you one thing. I've never tried that in my life with my wife. And the only other time I really saw the president get very, very upset, we had, that's the way you'll understand why I'm telling you this story. So we had the president's upstairs. Now upstairs, I was sort of the only South African who was allowed there because it's sort of like a diplomatic area. So I'd run down, speak to John and the president, and say, okay, 2 minutes. Then I run upstairs, 2 minutes. So you're sort of conveying the whole time. So the president comes. Magic light comes, gets in, there's no one there. So the president stands. So eventually he turns around and he says, he's going to sit down. And the president keeps looking at me. Yes, President. You run upstairs. I mean, what more can I do? So eventually, like 8-9 minutes, this other president comes down. President takes this long time to, and he says, this wife, my woman, no. And he turned around and he said, if you cannot control your wife, how are you running a country? He says, in my country, I respect you. He says, you will respect me back. And the president said, I'm a female. He says, no, that's unacceptable. He says, are we going to do this or aren't we going to do it? And it was a president of a big country, European country. And he actually just climbed into the guy. And the president kept on apologizing, and he started walking down, which wasn't like him. He started walking towards the banquet hall, and the president was behind him. You could see the other one knocking his wife, like, did you see and everything else like that. So it was the only time I really saw him put his foot down and say, no, not at all. When it came as far as with people and that, his knowledge of people's names was incredible. Really, it was amazing. We would do a big function in Eastern Cape for 10,000 people, and he would actually stand and try and greet as many people as possible. I don't mind if I have a swig, sorry. And you'd meet people, and then when they get together and they'll do another function, like veterans function somewhere else, I promise you can stand there, and when he comes up, he'll say, your child was sick last time. How is your child this time? Janet, thank you for coming. I appreciate what you did for me. It was amazing, but most of the great leaders around the world are like that. That's why I know I'll never be, because I suck balls with names. But they remember small, fancy details. And before I start plating, I'll tell you another very, very funny story. So Vodacom comes along and they give President Mandela 10 phones. So Mary comes, and his number was 082 000 001, and obviously the last one was 082 000 0010. And Mary comes, and I got 082 000 007. Now this is cool, So now you're walking around and you want your friends to say, hello, not yet. Hello, not yet. So the president gets on the plane and he was going off to Asia. So I would always do research on people before they come, how to stand, what's courteous, because what might be respectful for you might insult me. So I did a lot of research on that. And the president wanted to check something about folding of the legs, because he couldn't fold his legs because of his knee. So the phone rings, and I'm standing in Standard Bank in Brooklyn, in Pretoria, and I'm standing there, and Mary says, just hold on. He's like, hello? I said, hello, President. He's like, sorry? I said, hello, President. He says, President who? But he had that strict voice on, that voice. And I said, hello, President Mandela. He says, I can't hear you. I said, hello, President Mandela. He says, hello, how are you? I said, fine. He says, and what are you doing? I said, no, I'm busy at the bank. He says, you know who you're speaking to? I said, yes. He says, who? I said, President Mandela. He says, of what country? Of South Africa. He says, well, say the whole sentence. I said, hello, President Mandela of South Africa. Next thing he starts chuckling. He says, is everyone looking at you thinking you're a fool now, eh? So I put the phone down. I get to the counter, and it was a Zimbabwean woman. She's looking at me. She says, no, you like to joke, eh? Needless to say, I never went back to the bank because I think I looked like a big moron or whatever. When there was a lot of people that I was blessed to meet. Just remember, I'm not political. Winnie Mandela was absolutely amazing. She was fantastic. I was blessed to be invited to when she died. They took Mandela's 100 days before the 100 year, and they actually took that away, and they put Winnie Mandela's sort of service in there. And the amount of people that rocked up and spoke on behalf of Winnie was absolutely incredible. I mean, she was the mother of the nation. She was beautiful, and she was fantastic. I understand why they actually got together and married and everything. I was very scared of her, though, because, I mean, she didn't take crap. Mandela was, I think he was the peacekeeper. We knew who beat the kids in that house if they were both together. But throughout my experiences, a lot of people ask, what have I learned? And the big thing is, I used to do something as a joke, but also to teach people, which made me learn. So before we had a dignitary come, whoever, if we had anybody new in foreign affairs or protocol, that would be part of it. I would actually walk them around the guest house, and I would show them every single toilet in the guest house. And at the end, they're like, what are you getting at? I said, well, everyone has a crap. We're all human. No one's more special than the next person. And I believe that was his legacy. I believe that's what he taught. And as I said, after walking the long rope with him, there wasn't anybody that came that you were, okay, I'm about to lie. Before I lie, I'll tell you why. Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson got me through school. I had the glove. I had the white socks. I used to do the whole silly shit, and I just wanted to be Michael. I loved that man. So he couldn't stay at the guest house all the time because we had another state visit on, but he could only be there at that time. So the president said, well, you'll do it at Muzikayise, the event, which is just up the road. So I said to the president, please, I really need to meet Michael Jackson. I said, he got me through school, got me through my hidings, my detentions. And I said, Thriller. Now, obviously, I met Quincy Jones and Thriller, you know what I mean? Going to sign my CD cover, it was a big thing. So I get a call, they say, you can come up. So I run up to Mashangluve, and there sits the president with Michael Jackson. And I get there, and I'm like, wow, I promise you, in awe, because my man is sitting there. And the president, the famous wave, I come in, he goes, oh, this is the chef, and he tells him about me. This is Michael. I'm like, wow. I'm like, Mr. Jackson, I'm so pleased to meet you. And in 5 minutes, I rattled off why I love him so much. And he looks up with his black hat. He goes, wee, 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 wee. I thought, what the hell is wrong with you, you freak? You know what I mean? If he just said to me, thank you, I would have done. But this little mouse voice, I mean, it blew my mind because this oak stands on stage and 500,000 people go crazy. I think he was like Milli Vanilli. There was somebody else there. Because what I heard that day, it definitely wasn't him, eh? I tell you. So that's what I'm saying. So I was very excited to meet Michael until he did that to me. The other great people, I mean, the most powerful person I think that I met, when I say powerful, like that aura, obviously we put in the president, was Lance Kloosner. I know it sounds stupid. We always did the sports awards, the rugby awards. We did all the awards with all sportsmen and everything else like that. And Lance Kloosner just had this powerful aura around him. No wonder they could hit sixes. He was so confident. And the president went in, and Alan Donald and everybody was standing there. And they were talking in that. And you could just feel that guy's power in him. So it shows you it doesn't have to mean that you're a president or where you are from and everything else like that. It's more who you are as a person. So anyway, so you saw me cook this, how fast this was. Eh? So again, now we did a state banquet. That was for the Queen, and she wanted beef Wellington. And we did the beef Wellingtons now. It has to be red in the middle, no blood, crispy on the outside, and the mushrooms must be hot to the touch. Now, this is what I get told. I said, super. 400 people, big stainless trays, waiters are going, 5-minute queue, we can go. As we're walking, one of the stories again, some bloody moron gets up. I would like to thank the British for, I'm like, oh, geez. So we turn around, go back. But we'd always do double, because if somebody drops a tray or something goes wrong, whatever. So I get my 5-minute queue again, and I prep everything, and it goes out. So later that night, the president's leaving, and he says to me, what you doing with that meat? I'm like, President, I've got a plan. He says, I'm glad, because I want to see that meat served at tomorrow's function. I'm like, sure, no problem. I remember the staff's already had half of it by now. Eh? And the other problem is that when I'm cooking, there'll be like somebody from the embassy. They watch you to make sure that everything's all right in that. Eh? So I took that meat the next day, cut it into strips, fried with some onions and mushrooms, put it in, deglazed it, and I sent it out. I call it filet de crème. It's my biggest seller at the restaurant right now. And so I also learned a lot through it. And I also learned that when you're working, you must enjoy what you do. We laugh a lot at the restaurant. I think most of the times the staff end up in the kitchen because we're always having a great time. My biggest function was 25,000 people for 7 days, 3 times a day, 3 courses per thing. It was big. I mean, when I took it on, I was just stupid. Oh, yeah, I can do it. But I did it very successfully. And what got me through that was the humor, the joking, the laughing, and spending time with people. And life's cock. You know what I mean? Everyone's a cock at home and everything like that. Eh? And I think that's what I took as a Madiba marriage. Why just not make the person next to you happy? Always laugh. I mean, I went over to Ireland, I took my son there, and we were laughing all the time. Wherever we went, people wanted to sit with you and just be positive and be happy. And if that's one thing that I took from working at the presidency all those years, I'll take it. I think it's a blessing. Okay, while I'm plating, does anyone have any questions or something like that? And no, he didn't eat pop. Hey? Check. Bit more spice, girl. Bit more spice. You see, I'm a chef, I have to concentrate here. Eh? Okay. This pan, potatoes, my lady. Just sauteed potatoes.
I have a question. Every cooking show tells you must cook fish about 3 or 4 minutes.
Yes.
You've had that on during your whole...
Because it's a thermidor. You see, what I'm trying to do now is that I fried it, then I want the wine to pull in. So now when you're doing a thermidor, you need the flavors to pull in. Now, proper thermidor, the traditional thermidor, takes 2-3 hours in an oven or whatever. So what I do is I take it and I let it rest. So as it rests, it dries, it pulls in. So if you just take that and scrape the sauce off, it's a moist, moist fish. It's just because of the way we do it, sir. But normally you're correct. Don't break.
I've got a question.
Yes.
What are the herbs that you put in with the potatoes?
Just parsley.
Okay, cool.
You know why? It just changes the color. It doesn't add taste. But you know what? Because when you do a thermidor, hey, you're supposed to use like a mash or something like that, but it's white on white on white. I mean, look how it turned out for this country. It didn't work well, eh? So I put a bit of color and everything in there, eh? You know what I'm saying? You must remember, I tell everybody, I cannot be a racist. I work for Mandela. I can't be a racist. So I saute the potatoes to give them color with just a bit of parsley. Because when you're cooking it, it just looks pretty. And then obviously you got your white sauce. Then on top of that, what I've got is I've got micro rocket and beet. So now when you eat the rocket and beet, you don't need to put the salt and the pepper and the lemon because the bitterness is already in your herbs. It's simple. Because now if you're doing a formal dinner, everyone has TV bites. I ask her, I suck bad at TV bites when I'm doing things on TV. I'm like, she's nice, and they ask you a question like, so you need to cook it that it's TV bites for them. So whatever they do, it's easy. They mustn't salt and pepper. Then they mustn't ask you, can I have this and this and this? Everything has to be presented on the plate together. Is everybody happy? Hey? Sorry about, everyone sees cooking shows. I don't want to do too much cooking. That's pretty boring, eh? You know what I'm saying to you? But anyway, I'd like to say thank you very, very much. I'm sorry I had to squash everything into this.
Who's going to eat that now?
My lady from Jonathan Ball who did my book. I do a lot of these around the country. I do it in Ireland and the UK, and that where I try and teach people, like what I said to you, my big thing is to teach people to love each other, be happy, and work well together. A very, very famous lawyer here bought 2-3 big lawyer firms in Joburg, and he got hold of me and said to me, will you please come and do a talk? Now, I used to meet him a lot with the president, so he knew me well. So I got there, and there was about 30 lawyers there, and I think every single one of them had a God syndrome. You know, they just thought they were just amazing. And I'm trying to joke with everybody and go on and on. So eventually I looked, I said, yokes are a bunch of arseholes. I said, no wonder they say when lawyers die, they must go to the bottom and say, yokes are useless. And one lawyer said, excuse me? I said, well, number one. So the lawyer on the opposite side, well, I've never really liked him either. And everyone started. And I said, okay, now hold on. Now let's do this and drink. And within an hour, everyone was drinking and laughing, and everyone got on, and everyone understood each other. So that's what I was saying to you. It's just a bit of communication, a smile on your face. That's about it. But everybody, thank you very, very much. I really appreciate your time. Thank you very, very much.